For the people who are curious about life and always exploring, there is always something to write about and always something to talk about. I've often read about documenting one's life, something people enjoy doing. It's similar to the video version, vlogging, which is also very popular among the youth. And they just record how their day goes and what they experience and so on. And on one hand, it's a fun activity because you are actually capturing your life and can see it as a kind of legacy. However, a pitfall is that it is not always interesting for the audience. Many people simply don't have an interesting life, or they lack the knowledge to capture it in an interesting way. And I know all about it because I've tried it myself, both in writing and in the form of a video on my YouTube channel. And of course, in the beginning, it might be interesting for the viewer or the reader to discover certain aspects of someone's life through these media. It feels like you are getting to know someone. If that's actually the case remains to be seen, because you're always, after all, looking at curated material. But the way this form of entertainment is recorded can also be used to document what we learn. This way, the material sticks even better in our own brain, and others might also benefit from it if we decide to share this content. And why wouldn't we? Why not? Because besides the fact that it's wonderful to potentially inspire someone else, we can also receive valuable feedback. We can both learn from this feedback and get inspired ourselves. Many of the articles I've written on Medium, for example, they were born out of inspiration sparked by a reader's comment. Sometimes I even answer a comment by writing an article about it. Sometimes I just cannot give a concise answer. In some cases, I rather write a response to a question or comment just longer than a few sentences, and then I decide to make an article out of it. And the subjects I usually write about, spirituality and personal development, you can also call it developing a healthy, functioning ego, are often not something I can formulate in just a few sentences. I can explain these subjects in a way that most people understand, but there is a certain depth that, at least for me, is unavoidable. And that's fine. Sometimes it can be a challenge though, because many people today cannot focus on one thing for very long. But if something is truly interesting for someone, then they will keep watching or reading anyway. And feedback from others is also very useful to test yourself. Sometimes the responses you get are not very pleasant. And then the trick is to not react from an overheated ego or from an emotional ego, but from a place of love. The ego naturally wants to react from a place of tension and resistance. I am right and you are not. But it's not about being right, especially not in the niche I am considered to be in. I am not trying to defend my perspective, but I try to offer another certain viewpoint. And that's why I often emphasize that people should conduct their own research to find out if it's true. Self-examination. Only then do you really start practicing. There's only one way to practice though, and that is to disprove your own beliefs. Not to prove your beliefs, because if you do, then you miss out on a lot. In science, they also conduct research in such a way. The longer they fail to find a refutation, the more the theory holds true. And a common misconception among many people who think they are practicing something is that when they join a certain group, or perhaps even a particular individual, and then experience that belief together, they, blindly believing in something, trusting the beautiful stories, and just doing what you are told without questioning it, that has nothing to do with truly practicing. That's just blindly following. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you feel comfortable with it, by all means, keep doing it. But as soon as you start to suffer from it, that's naturally the signal that it can be different, that there is another way. The same suffering will return eventually. giving you another signal. That suffering should also be allowed. Suppressing it is exactly what keeps it going. And there's also a beautiful saying about this. What you resist persists. So let it be and observe it with love. And then it will dissolve naturally in the same space where it is observed. The fact that you are the observer already indicates that you are not that which causes you to suffer. So you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions. This is not to say that you should simply continue to suffer so as not to deviate from your beliefs, because the suffering will dissolve into the awareness that perceives it anyway. You can see that signal as an invitation to look more deeply at the beliefs and thoughts that cause the suffering. And when you understand this and start investigating, you can ultimately let go of the beliefs that no longer serves you. And if not, that's totally fine as well. It's all up to you.